You think humans are the only true geniuses on Earth? What if minds just as sharp, or even sharper in some ways, were hiding in forests, swimming beneath the waves, or flying right above your head? Animals that can solve puzzles faster than kids. Creatures that can plan, deceive, teach, and even create tools. Some speak in clicks or whistles, others in gestures or signs. And a few might even be thinking about you while you're watching this video. Today, we're diving into a side of the animal kingdom that will make you rethink intelligence itself and ask, are humans really at the top of the list? The animal kingdom isn't just about claws, speed, or brute strength. Intelligence comes in many shapes, in fur, feathers, and even tentacles. Some animals can plan heists, recognize faces, use tools, teach their young, and even outsmart humans in certain challenges. From the depths of the oceans to the highest treetops, there are creatures whose minds work in ways we've only begun to understand. They remember, they feel, they communicate, they solve problems, sometimes better than we do. And every new discovery about their intelligence pushes one unsettling thought closer to truth. Maybe we're not as unique as we think. What if the ocean's most intelligent creature wasn't just swimming past you, but trying to communicate in ways we're only beginning to understand? Dolphins have fascinated humans for centuries, not just because of their playful nature, but because behind those bright eyes lies a mind capable of problem-solving, empathy, teamwork, and even complex communication rivaling our own. They're not just fast swimmers, they're thinkers, strategists, and social geniuses of the sea. Bottlenose dolphins live in highly organized pods where cooperation is a matter of survival. They've been observed using coordinated hunting strategies, forming circles around schools of fish, driving them toward the surface, and taking turns feeding. A level of planning and fairness few animals can match. Some even use mud rings in shallow water to trap fish, a tactic that requires precise timing and teamwork, passed down through generations, a true sign of animal culture. Their intelligence shines brightest in communication. Dolphins produce a complex array of clicks, whistles, and body movements, each with specific meanings. Research has revealed that dolphins have unique signature whistles, essentially names, that they use to call out to each other. In some experiments, dolphins responded to their names, even when played on underwater speakers, suggesting a level of self-awareness and identity few species possess. And self-awareness doesn't stop there. In mirror tests, an experiment where animals are shown their reflection, dolphins recognize themselves. They examine their bodies, blow bubbles, make deliberate movements, and even play with markings on their skin. Clear evidence of a mind that understands, this is me. Their problem-solving skills rival those of primates. In captivity, dolphins have been observed opening latches, working out puzzles, and even teaching each other tricks without human help. In one famous study, dolphins were trained to carry out a task for a reward. When they realized they could cheat the system by manipulating objects creatively, they invented new behaviors on the spot, a spark of innovation and creativity rarely seen in the animal kingdom. But perhaps the most remarkable evidence of their intelligence is their relationship with humans. Stories abound of dolphins saving swimmers from sharks, guiding lost sailors to safety, or staying with injured people until help arrives. These aren't isolated incidents. They reflect a consistent pattern of empathy and understanding, as if dolphins grasp that we, too, are vulnerable beings in their world. Some scientists believe dolphins possess the second most complex brain on Earth, with an extraordinary ratio of brain size to body size, intricate social bonds, and emotional depth that might even surpass ours in some ways. They mourn their dead, play for the sheer joy of it, and form lifelong friendships that shape their entire lives. So when you see a dolphin jump beside a boat, don't think of it as just a playful show. Behind that leap is a mind capable of thought, planning, feeling, a being that looks at us not just as strange creatures in its ocean, but as potential partners in a world we're only starting to understand. What if the jungle had its own engineers, animals that can build, learn, teach, and even trick others to survive? Orangutans are often called the thinkers of the forest, and for good reason. These great apes are not just strong and agile. They're inventors, teachers, and problem solvers, showing a level of intelligence that feels uncannily human, because in many ways, it is. Living high in the rainforests of Borneo and Sumatra, orangutans build complex nests every single night, crafting them from branches and leaves with precision. They weave supports, create soft bedding, and even add roofs to protect themselves from rain. Some have been seen making pillow-like layers, suggesting not just instinct, but comfort and planning. But their real genius shines in their tool-making skills. Orangutans use sticks to extract insects or honey, craft leaf gloves to handle spiky fruits, and even make umbrellas from large leaves during tropical downpours. In captivity, they've been observed unlocking cages, tying knots, and figuring out mechanical puzzles that stump young children. One famous story involves an orangutan named Fu Manchu, who repeatedly escaped his enclosure at a zoo. After weeks of confusion, keepers discovered that Fu had hidden a piece of wire in his mouth, used it to pick locks, and then hid the wire again to avoid suspicion. This wasn't luck. It was planning, strategy, and deception on a level rarely seen outside humans. Orangutans are also remarkable learners. Mothers spend years teaching their offspring survival skills, from tool use to identifying edible plants. This creates distinct cultures among orangutan groups. One population may use certain tools or hunting methods that others don't, much like human societies developing unique traditions. Their ability to understand human behavior is equally stunning. Orangutans in research centers have been observed imitating human actions, like washing clothes, sawing wood, or even pretending to use soap. Not for food rewards, but seemingly out of curiosity and social learning. Emotionally, they show deep empathy and long-term memory. They form strong bonds, remember human caretakers after years apart, and display visible signs of joy, grief, and even humor. Some orangutans have been known to play harmless tricks on keepers, covering food with leaves to hide it, or startling people for fun, showing a spark of creativity and personality. Scientists believe their intelligence developed partly because of their solitary lifestyle. Living mostly alone means they need sharp problem-solving skills to survive without group support. Every day is a test of memory, invention, and adaptability. Looking into an orangutan's eyes, you don't just see an animal. You see a mind at work, calculating, observing, and maybe even judging you a little. If humans had evolved in the trees instead of on the ground, swinging through branches and relying on ingenuity to survive, we might not be so different from them. What if your loyal companion at home understood more about you than you ever imagined, and could even outsmart you in certain ways? Dogs aren't just man's best friend because they're loyal. They're partners in thought, with intelligence shaped over tens of thousands of years, living alongside humans. And among them, certain breeds like Border Collies and Belgian Malinois push the limits of what we thought dogs were capable of, rivaling primates in problem-solving and communication. Border Collies are often called the Einsteins of the dog world. These herding dogs can learn hundreds, even over 1,000 words, remembering the names of toys and fetching the correct one on command. One legendary Border Collie, Chaser, understood more than 1,000 nouns and could even combine words like ball and frisbee to select a specific object, a level of language comprehension once thought impossible for animals. Belgian Malinois, often used in elite police and military units, showcase a different kind of genius, decision-making under pressure. They can analyze situations in real time, decide whether to chase, bite, or hold back, and work in perfect sync with human handlers. These dogs are trained to understand hand signals, whispered commands, and even eye contact, acting almost like a human teammate in dangerous missions. But dog intelligence isn't just about obedience. It's about emotional understanding. Dogs are masters at reading human body language, tone of voice, and even micro-expressions on our faces. Studies show they can sense when we're sad, stressed, or anxious, often comforting owners without any command given. Some therapy dogs are so intuitive they approach crying strangers to offer comfort, showing a level of empathy rare in the animal kingdom. Their problem-solving skills can be mind-blowing. Dogs have learned to open doors, work out complex puzzle toys, navigate mazes, and even cooperate with other dogs to achieve a goal. Some have been observed figuring out how to manipulate humans, barking near an empty water bowl not because they're thirsty, but because they know you'll get up and give them attention. Dogs also demonstrate long-term memory and adaptability. They can remember events, locations, and even emotional experiences for years. Rescue dogs have been known to guide teams through dangerous disaster zones, making independent decisions that saved lives, like refusing to enter a collapsed building seconds before it caved in, sensing danger no human detected. What makes dogs special is the bond they've built with humans. Thousands of years of shared history have made their minds tuned to ours. They don't just hear our words, they read our feelings, anticipate our actions, and often act before we even know what we need. Scientists say this deep connection has made dogs a unique species, not wild animals tamed, but co-evolving partners, shaping intelligence through friendship, teamwork, and survival with humans. A Border Collie learning words like a child, a Belgian Malinois making split-second life or death choices. These aren't tricks. They're proof that thinking like us isn't limited to primates. So the next time your dog stares into your eyes, tilts its head, or does something that feels almost human, maybe it's because it truly understands you better than you think. Did you know that there's an animal that has a favorite tool and carries it around like a treasure, using it for years, even teaching its kids how to do the same? Sea otters might look like harmless, fluffy creatures lazily floating on the waves, but behind those round eyes and soft fur hides one of the most inventive problem solvers of the ocean. These small mammals have mastered the use of tools in a way that feels shockingly human, and they've been doing it for generations. Unlike most animals, sea otters don't just pick up any rock. They choose a specific one, a perfectly shaped, heavy enough stone, and keep it tucked under a special patch of skin near their forearm. This isn't just instinct, this is personal preference, a favorite hammer they'll use for months or even years. When it's time to eat, the otter pulls out this rock, places a clam or sea urchin on its belly, and smashes it open with a precision that would make a chef proud. Marine biologists have found entire otter kitchens on the ocean floor, piles of broken shells shaped by decades of feeding in the same spot, as if these animals had a permanent workshop under the waves. But what's truly mind-blowing is how this knowledge spreads. Sea otter mothers don't just feed their pups, they teach them. They show which rocks work best, how to crack hard shells without losing the meal, even where to find the richest feeding grounds. These lessons can take months, shaping young otters into skilled foragers who'll someday pass the same tricks on to their own offspring. That's not instinct, that's culture, passed down just like human skills from parent to child. And they don't stop at clams. Sea otters have been caught on camera stacking shells for later, using currents to clean food, and figuring out clever shortcuts when prey is tricky to open. In aquariums, they've learned how to unlock latches, retrieve treats from puzzles, and even fake trouble to get extra attention from keepers. These aren't random moves, they're calculated actions, showing foresight and creativity. One famous case involved an otter named Tula, who became known as a teacher in California's rescue center. Tula adopted orphaned pups and taught them everything from grooming to cracking crabs, ensuring they could survive after release. Many of her students were later tracked in the wild, using techniques they had learned only from her. This is the closest thing to animal schooling we've seen outside primates, and their impact goes beyond intelligence. Sea otters are ecosystem engineers. By eating sea urchins, they protect kelp forests, which shelter countless marine species. Without otters, entire coastal habitats collapse. Their clever feeding habits don't just keep them alive, they maintain the balance of oceans. So next time you see a video of a sea otter spinning in the water with a rock in its paws, know this: you're not just watching a cute animal eat lunch. You're watching one of nature's most resourceful innovators, a creature with tradition, teaching, and invention in its DNA. Proof that big ideas don't need a big brain or hands like ours, just the will to think differently. What if one of the smartest minds on the planet didn't belong to a primate or a dolphin, but to a bird you see every day above your head? Crows and ravens have long been misunderstood, often linked to myths, omens, or even bad luck. But science tells a very different story. Behind those black feathers hides an intelligence that rivals young children in problem-solving, planning, and even building tools from scratch. In a series of groundbreaking experiments, crows were given puzzles that required multiple steps to get a reward. Pulling a string to get a stick, using the stick to reach a rock, and then dropping the rock to release food. Many humans would hesitate, but these birds solved the challenge in minutes, demonstrating logical reasoning and foresight. Some researchers called it the avian version of using a vending machine. But that's just the beginning. Crows are natural tool makers, shaping twigs, leaves, or even bits of wire into hooks to extract insects from tree bark. This isn't instinct alone. It's invention and adaptation, passing learned skills to their young, creating cultural traditions much like early human societies. Their memory is nothing short of remarkable. Crows can recognize human faces, remember who fed them, and, more chillingly, who threatened them. In one long-term study, a group of researchers wore distinctive masks while trapping crows for tagging. Years later, the birds would still scold and mob anyone wearing the same mask, even if they hadn't seen it in ages. They even warned other crows, spreading knowledge about a dangerous human across entire populations. And then comes their social intelligence. Crows form alliances, hold grudges, share information, and even engage in what looks eerily like funerals, gathering around their dead, calling out, as if warning others or paying respects. These behaviors suggest not just memory, but empathy, understanding of danger, and possibly grief. Ravens, close relatives of crows, go even further. They've been observed planning for the future, storing tools for use later, something once believed uniquely human. In one famous test, a raven chose a token that wouldn't give it food now, but could be traded for a bigger reward minutes later, showing an understanding of delayed gratification on par with primates. In the wild, these birds are masters of strategy. Ravens have been seen working in pairs to distract wolves from a kill, stealing chunks of meat while their partner causes chaos. Others drop nuts onto roads, waiting for cars to crack them open, then safely retrieving the prize when traffic stops. Crows challenge the very idea that intelligence is tied to brain size or mammals. Their tiny bird brains are wired with incredible efficiency, allowing them to think ahead, learn from others, adapt to new problems, and even manipulate their environment in ways many animals never could. So the next time you see a crow watching you from a fence post, don't dismiss it as just another bird. It might be studying you, remembering you, and figuring you out, long before you ever notice. You think raccoons are just trash thieves? What if I told you they're actually lock-picking masterminds with memory skills that can outlast yours? Raccoons are often seen as mischievous pests, sneaking into garbage cans, raiding campsites, or pulling off late-night food heists. But behind their bandit-like masks is a mind that's incredibly sharp, adaptive, and even a little devious. Studies have shown that raccoons are problem-solving experts. In a classic 1908 experiment, raccoons were given complex locks, bolts, latches, hooks, even puzzle mechanisms. Most of the time, they cracked the challenge within minutes, sometimes even figuring out solutions that scientists hadn't expected. One raccoon solved 11 out of 13 locks, and here's the kicker. They remembered those solutions for at least 3 years. Modern research continues to confirm their intelligence. Raccoons can open jars, unlock cages, turn knobs, climb onto rooftops, and even flip latches meant for human hands. Videos abound of raccoons picking locks, opening coolers, or dismantling bird feeders with patience and dexterity that feels almost like watching a tiny mechanic at work. Their memory and adaptability are astonishing. If one solution doesn't work, they'll try another, adjusting their tactics based on previous attempts. They're not just acting on instinct, they're thinking, testing, and learning on the go. Raccoons also have impressive social intelligence. In urban environments, they navigate human landscapes with ease, learning traffic patterns, identifying safe routes, and even coordinating raids on trash bins in small groups. Some scientists suggest they may teach younger raccoons tricks, much like primates pass down skills, creating mini raccoon traditions in certain areas. One famous story from Toronto describes a raccoon that unscrewed an entire roof vent, crawled through an attic, opened a food container inside a supposedly raccoon-proof kitchen, and left without breaking a thing. A clean, calculated heist. It wasn't luck. It was planning, trial and error, and memory at work. Their dexterous front paws add to their brilliance. Each paw has a sensitivity almost like a human hand, allowing them to feel textures and shapes in the dark and figure out objects by touch alone. This gives them the ability to manipulate objects with precision, solving problems even without relying on sight. Raccoons thrive in the wild, but their intelligence shines brightest in cities, where every day is a puzzle of locked bins, closed doors, and human-made obstacles. And time after time, they win. Their adaptability is so advanced that wildlife experts sometimes call them urban primates, because they navigate human environments with the cunning and skill of a monkey living in concrete jungles. So next time you see a raccoon rifling through trash, don't underestimate it. That little masked bandit might be smarter than you think. And if it had opposable thumbs, your house locks wouldn't stand a chance. What if a bird could not only mimic your words, but understand what you mean, ask you questions back, and even argue with you? The African gray parrot is widely regarded as one of the most intelligent bird species on Earth, a true feathered genius. For decades, scientists believed animals only repeated sounds without grasping meaning. Then came studies with African greys, and they changed everything we thought we knew about communication beyond humans. These parrots possess exceptional vocal abilities, but what's shocking is their cognitive power behind those words. They can learn hundreds of words and phrases, associate them with objects, actions, emotions, and even combine words to form new ideas. This isn't mimicry, this is language use. The most famous case is Alex, an African gray studied by Dr. Irene Pepperberg for over 30 years. Alex could identify colors, shapes, sizes, numbers up to 8, and even grasp the abstract concept of zero, something human children only learn around preschool age. When asked, "What's different?" or "What's the same?" Alex could give the right answer. When frustrated, he told scientists to go away. Before his death, Alex reportedly said, "You be good. See you tomorrow. I love you." A phrase that touched millions and made scientists rethink the emotional depth of birds. But their skills aren't limited to words. African greys solve puzzles, plan ahead, and understand cause and effect. They can figure out locks, pull ropes in the right sequence to get treats, or cooperate with other parrots to complete a task, showing logic and teamwork. Their social intelligence is just as striking. In the wild, they live in large, complex flocks, building bonds, remembering individual companions, and showing empathy. Captive African greys often mirror human emotions, comforting owners who are sad or imitating laughter to join in fun moments, an emotional awareness that's rare outside mammals. Some experiments even suggest they can learn concepts like bigger, smaller, same, or different, something thought to require a primate brain. And unlike most animals, they don't just react. They sometimes initiate conversations, seeking information or attention, proving there's thought behind their words. An African gray isn't just a pet. It's like having a toddler with feathers, curious, talkative, opinionated, and sometimes mischievous. They've been seen tricking their owners, pretending they're out of food to get more treats, or calling household pets by name to play pranks. This bird challenges everything we assume about intelligence. If a creature with a walnut-sized brain can reason, plan, empathize, and talk about it, maybe human-like thought isn't as rare as we once believed. So next time you hear a parrot say, "Hello," ask yourself, is it just repeating, or is it actually trying to start a conversation? You probably think pigs are just dirty farm animals, but you couldn't be more wrong. They're smarter than most pets, and even smarter than some primates. Pigs have long been misunderstood, portrayed as lazy or unintelligent. But science has proven time and again that these animals have remarkable cognitive abilities, putting them among the smartest creatures on the planet. In controlled experiments, pigs have shown memory skills that rival those of dogs and young children. They can navigate complex mazes, remember routes for months, and even figure out shortcuts on their own. In one famous study, pigs outperformed some primates in learning how to manipulate a joystick to move a cursor on a screen, showing they can understand cause and effect in a way few animals can. Pigs are also master problem solvers. When given puzzles, like opening latches, lifting levers, or working through a food dispensing device, they don't just guess randomly. They analyze, test, adapt, and eventually solve challenges with persistence and intelligence. Observers often compare their reasoning to that of chimpanzees. Their emotional intelligence is equally striking. Pigs can recognize not only other pigs, but also human faces, remembering them long-term. They distinguish between positive and negative tones of voice, responding with excitement or caution accordingly. Many farmers and animal behaviorists report that pigs form deep bonds with humans, following them around like dogs, seeking affection, and even offering comfort when someone is upset. And pigs know how to play, really play. They chase balls, tug ropes, and invent games with other pigs, showing curiosity and joy beyond mere instinct. Play is considered one of the strongest indicators of high intelligence in animals, a sign of thinking, creativity, and even a sense of humor. One remarkable study revealed pigs can use mirrors to locate hidden food. Instead of searching aimlessly, they observed reflections, understood spatial relationships, and went directly to the prize, something only a handful of species on Earth can do. In social settings, pigs demonstrate cooperation and even deception. If one pig finds a hidden stash of food, others may try to follow, but the discoverer often leads them astray, pretending to search elsewhere to keep the reward for itself. This shows planning, strategy, and an understanding of others' intentions. Mental skills we once thought belonged only to humans and apes. Despite all this, pigs remain one of the most underestimated animals. We see them as livestock, not as the intelligent, emotional, socially complex beings they truly are. But in reality, pigs can learn tricks faster than dogs, remember solutions for years, and even anticipate events before they happen. So the next time you hear someone call someone else a pig as an insult, remember this. If you had to compete in a puzzle challenge, the pig might actually win. What if the smartest mind in the ocean had no bones, no voice, and could escape almost any trap you built for it? The octopus is often called the alien of the sea, not because of how it looks, but because its intelligence is so unlike anything else on Earth. With 8 arms, 3 hearts, blue blood, and a brain that extends into each limb, this creature thinks, feels, and reacts in ways that challenge everything we know about animal minds. Octopuses are natural escape artists. In aquariums around the world, there are countless stories of them unscrewing jar lids, opening latches, slipping through holes no bigger than a coin, and even climbing out of tanks just to explore or hunt. One famous octopus, named Inky, made headlines after escaping a New Zealand aquarium by squeezing through a gap in his enclosure, crawling across the floor, and disappearing into the ocean through a drain pipe. No violence, no noise. Just silent, calculated freedom. Their intelligence goes beyond escape tricks. Octopuses are masters of camouflage, changing not just color but also texture to perfectly mimic rocks, sand, coral, sometimes within seconds. They use this skill not only to hide, but to ambush prey, setting up traps and striking with precision. Scientists have tested their problem-solving skills, giving them mazes, complex locks, and puzzles that would challenge a human toddler. In many cases, the octopus solved them on the first try or figured out shortcuts nobody predicted. They've been observed stealing prey from crab pots, memorizing human feeding schedules, and even spraying jets of water to short-circuit lights or annoy caretakers. A sign of planning and even mischief. What makes their intelligence so strange is that it evolved completely separately from ours. They're not mammals, not social animals like dolphins or chimps. Their brains are decentralized. Each arm has its own mini-brain capable of making independent decisions. Yet, when it matters, everything works together in perfect coordination, as if they're 8 thinkers sharing one mind. There's also evidence of playfulness and curiosity. Some octopuses have been seen stacking objects, collecting shiny items, or gently interacting with divers, not for food or safety, but seemingly for fun or exploration. Others recognize individual humans, showing different behaviors to different people, hinting at a deeper level of awareness than we imagined possible in invertebrates. Even their lifespan tells a story. Most octopuses live just 1 to 3 years, yet in that short time they display intelligence we associate with long-lived, socially complex animals. It's as if evolution poured everything into their ability to learn fast, solve problems, and adapt on the fly, knowing they only have a short time to master their world. The octopus is a living paradox, silent but brilliant, soft but powerful, alien yet strangely relatable. It doesn't think like us, it doesn't live like us. But somehow, when you look into its curious, shifting eyes, you get the feeling it's thinking about you too. You ever stop and wonder, what's really going on inside the mind of the largest creature on the planet? Whales are often seen as gentle giants, drifting peacefully through the oceans. But beneath that calm surface lies extraordinary intelligence, complex communication, and even signs of culture passed down through generations. Traits that challenge everything we thought we knew about marine life. Humpback whales are known for their songs, haunting melodies that can travel for hundreds of miles underwater. These songs aren't random. They have structure, repeating phrases, and evolve over time, like a living, shifting language. What's even more fascinating is that entire populations can learn a new song within months, spreading it across thousands of miles. Something scientists once thought only humans could do. Sperm whales, on the other hand, communicate using clicking patterns called codas. Each family group has its own unique set of codas, almost like a dialect or clan signature, allowing them to identify friends and relatives across vast distances. Some researchers believe these codas could carry far more information than we currently understand, possibly the closest thing to a whale language we've discovered. But whale intelligence isn't just about sound. These creatures show incredible social structures and long-term planning. They travel in pods, forming lifelong bonds, teaching calves migration routes, hunting strategies, and even social etiquette, a sign of culture passed not through instinct, but through learning and memory. Whales also demonstrate empathy and cooperation, not just within their species, but with others. There are documented cases of humpbacks protecting seals and even humans from orca attacks, placing their massive bodies between the predator and the victim. No food reward, no obvious benefit, just altruism, something we used to think was uniquely human. And their problem-solving skills? Remarkable. Some whales use bubble nets to corral fish, creating spirals of air to trap prey, a tactic that requires timing, coordination, and teamwork. Others have been observed sharing techniques across pods, proving that whale behavior can evolve through social learning, much like human innovation. One unforgettable story comes from a diver in the Cook Islands who found herself face-to-face with a humpback whale that gently nudged her with its fin for several minutes. She didn't understand until later. An aggressive tiger shark was circling nearby. The whale was protecting her, risking itself to shield a creature from another species. With brains weighing up to 9 kilograms, some whale species have the most neuron-rich brains of any animal, supporting complex emotions, communication, and maybe even abstract thought. Scientists speculate whales could remember and share knowledge spanning generations, forming traditions that have lasted longer than human civilizations. So the next time you see a video of a whale breaching the surface, think about this. You're not just looking at size and power. You're looking at a mind that may hold secrets about connection, memory, and intelligence we've barely begun to understand. What if the closest thing to a human mind wasn't human at all, but living high in the treetops, watching you with the same curiosity you feel for it? Chimpanzees aren't just our distant cousins. They share over 98% of our DNA, making them our closest living relatives on Earth. But it's not just their genes that make them similar to us, it's their minds. Their ability to plan, strategize, problem solve, deceive, teach, and even dream of a better outcome makes them far more like us than most people are comfortable admitting. In the wild, chimps use a wide range of tools, not just for food, but for survival tactics that feel like something out of early human history. They strip branches of leaves to fish termites from nests, use stone tools to crack hard nuts, and sharpen sticks into spears to hunt smaller animals. Some researchers have even witnessed chimp mothers teaching their young how to use these tools, slowly guiding their hands, just like a human parent would. Their social lives are just as fascinating and just as complicated. Chimps live in communities with alliances, rivalries, and even power struggles. Dominant males build networks of friendships to keep control of the group, while challengers plot in secret to overthrow them. Observers describe these interactions as political dramas, full of strategy, loyalty, betrayal, and redemption arcs that wouldn't look out of place in human history books. And their emotional intelligence, surprisingly advanced. Chimps console each other after fights, share food with allies, and show empathy to those in distress. Some have even been observed adopting orphans, despite the cost to themselves. They laugh during play, show grief for lost companions, and even hold what appear to be mourning rituals, sitting silently near the body of a deceased group member. In labs and sanctuaries, their cognitive abilities continue to amaze scientists. Chimps like Washoe learned over 350 signs in American Sign Language, not just memorizing them, but combining signs to create new expressions, showing an ability to imagine and describe things beyond what they were taught. Others have demonstrated short-term memory skills superior to humans, recalling long sequences of numbers after just a brief glance, a feat most of us can't match. And perhaps the most striking discovery is their capacity for deception and planning. Some chimps will feign indifference to food or tools until a rival looks away, only to seize the opportunity later. Others have been caught hiding rocks and sticks to use as weapons hours later, a clear sign of delayed planning and foresight. Traits once believed unique to humans. Watching a chimpanzee think, scheme, comfort a friend, or trick an enemy is like watching a reflection of humanity's first spark of intelligence. A mirror of our own early minds in a raw, untamed form. The line between human and animal doesn't feel so solid anymore when you look into the eyes of a chimp and realize they're thinking about you too. What if the biggest mind on land wasn't just massive in size, but capable of memories, feelings, and understanding far deeper than we imagined? Elephants are often called the gentle giants of nature, but behind their calm eyes lies a complex intelligence shaped by survival, family, and emotion. Scientists say elephants have one of the largest and most sophisticated brains in the animal kingdom, weighing over 5 kilograms, packed with neurons dedicated to memory, emotion, and social bonds. But numbers alone can't explain what makes their minds so extraordinary. Elephants are masters of memory. They remember watering holes they visited decades ago, recognize paths across hundreds of kilometers, and can even recall the calls of other elephants they met years before. In droughts, matriarchs lead their herds to hidden water sources based purely on experiences from their youth. A memory that can save entire families from death. But their intelligence goes far beyond survival skills. Elephants are one of the few animals on Earth that can recognize themselves in a mirror, a sign of self-awareness once thought unique to humans and great apes. In experiments, they've been observed using tools, moving logs to create bridges, using branches to swat flies, and even digging for water and covering holes afterward to save it for later. What truly sets elephants apart is their emotional depth. They grieve their dead in a way hauntingly similar to humans. Herds have been seen stopping for long moments of silence at the bones of fallen elephants, gently touching them with their trunks as if paying respects. Mothers mourn their lost calves, sometimes staying by their side for days, trying to lift them, refusing to leave. These moments of quiet sorrow speak of empathy and bonds that words could never express. Their communication skills are just as advanced. Elephants produce low-frequency sounds, inaudible to humans, that can travel for miles. Through these calls, they coordinate movements, warn of danger, or even seem to chat with relatives far away. Each sound carries meaning, tone, and emotion, a hidden language we're only starting to decode. And then there's their capacity to help. There are documented cases where elephants have gone out of their way to aid other species, lifting trapped animals, helping humans stuck in rivers, or standing guard over injured companions until they recovered. Such actions suggest not just intelligence, but compassion and moral awareness rarely seen in the wild. One unforgettable story comes from India, where an elephant returned to a village after a tragic encounter with humans, but instead of lashing out, it stood by the house of the family for hours, later bringing gifts of leaves and branches as if trying to offer peace. Scientists still debate what behavior meant: grief, understanding, or something more profound we haven't yet defined. Elephants remind us that intelligence isn't only about solving puzzles or using tools. It's about connection, memory, emotion, and choice. They carry a wisdom that feels ancient, as though they understand life and death on a level we've forgotten. Looking into their eyes feels like staring into a mind that knows joy, pain, forgiveness, and perhaps even the weight of time itself. You ever wondered why scientists use rats in intelligence research? Maybe it's because these tiny creatures can think, plan, and even show empathy. Better than you expect. Rats are often seen as pests, but in reality, they are extraordinary learners and problem solvers, capable of complex thinking that rivals many larger-brained animals. Over the last century, countless experiments have revealed their memory, social skills, and decision-making abilities, proving rats are far more than scavengers in the shadows. Rats excel in maze navigation, quickly learning intricate paths and remembering them for weeks or even months. What's more impressive is how they adapt when the rules change. Move the exit, add new obstacles. Rats test new routes, learn from mistakes, and find solutions faster than many other animals. Their spatial memory is so reliable that they're used in neuroscience research to study how learning and memory work in humans. But their abilities go far beyond mazes. In one remarkable study, rats were trained to recognize symbols on a screen, pressing specific patterns to get rewards. They not only learned the task, but figured out shortcuts, proving they could think ahead and optimize their actions, a level of reasoning often compared to primates. Even more surprising is their capacity for empathy. In a groundbreaking experiment, a free rat was placed in a cage with another rat trapped in a small tube. Without any reward or training, the free rat learned to open the tube to release its companion, and did so repeatedly, even choosing to help a friend over getting food. This showed that rats don't just think about themselves, they understand and care about others' suffering. Rats also display teamwork and cooperation. In some experiments, they work together to pull levers and share rewards, coordinating actions in real time. In the wild, they warn each other of danger, share food, and teach younger rats foraging skills, creating small but structured societies built on communication and trust. Their intelligence is enhanced by their curiosity and persistence. They explore tirelessly, test objects, analyze smells and sounds, and learn from every new experience. Once a rat finds a successful solution, it remembers it for life, making them masters of adapting to human-made environments, surviving in cities, subways, and sewers with ingenuity that's hard to match. One famous case tells of lab rats taught to play hide-and-seek with humans. Not only did they understand the rules, but they preferred the game to treats, showing joy in play, surprise, and excitement. Emotions we often think belong only to higher mammals. Rats challenge everything we assume about small brains. They plan, learn, teach, cooperate, empathize, and even play for fun. Their intelligence isn't loud or obvious. It's subtle, efficient, and perfectly tuned for survival. So the next time you see a rat dart across a city street, remember, you're not looking at a mindless scavenger. You're looking at a tiny survivor, a thinker, and maybe, just maybe, a creature with more heart than you give it credit for. We've seen minds in the wild that challenge everything we thought we knew about intelligence. Chimpanzees that plan, strategize, and use tools like early humans. Dolphins that create their own names and call to each other across oceans. Elephants that remember paths from decades ago and mourn their dead. Every encounter strips away the belief that intelligence is only ours. Each one reveals a different kind of genius: logic, memory, empathy, creativity, cooperation, not limited to one species, but spread across Earth in ways we never expected. So if we measure intelligence by solving problems, using tools, building cultures, or understanding emotions, are we really the only smart ones here? Or just the loudest? You think intelligence makes us special? Maybe it just makes us louder. Every one of these animals proves a truth we don't like to admit. Thinking, planning, feeling, it's not ours alone. We believed we were the only ones with memory that lasts a lifetime, but elephants never forget. We thought tools made us unique, but otters, chimps, crows, and even octopuses build, craft, and teach like early engineers. We assumed language set us apart, yet dolphins call each other by name, parrots ask questions, whales sing songs that travel for miles. And empathy? The very thing we think defines humanity? Rats choose to save friends instead of eating. Dogs comfort us when words fail. Whales risk their lives to protect others. The consequence is clear. We're not the center of the map anymore. Intelligence isn't a single peak we sit on top of. It's a vast landscape filled with other minds. Some familiar, some alien, each brilliant in their own way. So every time we look at an animal and see instinct, maybe what we're really seeing is a different kind of thought. One we're just smart enough to notice, but not yet wise enough to fully understand. We grew up believing humans were the only real thinkers on this planet. But the truth is, intelligence has many faces. From the forests to the oceans, from birds to mammals to creatures with 8 arms, we've seen that minds come in countless forms. Some plan ambushes, some invent tools, some comfort others, and some build cultures that last generations. Every one of them blurs the line we once drew between us and them. If this video made you look at animals differently, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it. Let's explore this hidden world of minds together. There are so many stories still untold. Now tell us in the comments, which animal surprised you the most today? Which one do you think could rival us in a test of intelligence? And is there a creature we missed that deserves a spot on this list? Because maybe, just maybe, we're not the only ones thinking about what it means to be smart.